So everybody, welcome back. We just got our last JP preview stream earlier at the time of me recording this earlier this morning for my time. So this will go up the next day, or at least it should. And so yeah, we finally got Murray Alter, and another 4-star Hassan servant. So let's go over them now, and I'll share some thoughts about the overall JP, just the vibes that I got from the JP FGO stream that had occurred, earlier yesterday that introduced us these new servants. So let's take a look. First, we got Marie Alter. Finally, she's in the game. Cause she was first introduced. I hesitate to say put into the game, but she was first introduced back all the way back in during the Fate Requiem collab, I think. And at this point, it must have been like 3 years ago. At this point, 3 years ago, something like that. Because I'm pretty sure the Fate Requiem collab on NA was like a year ago, either last year or even 2 years ago. If it's been that long, sheesh. And hilariously, the Fate Requiem event hasn't had a rerun yet in Japan. I don't think, not on the JP server. So 3 years, 4 years, however long we've known about Murray Alter, she's finally here. So hopefully NPC jail wasn't that bad. But debatable. Anyways, let's take a look at her stats. She's an Avenger, so that's very important. Her attack is hilariously high. Just to remind you guys, just to refresh your memory, 13,000 attack is like the ceiling of attack stats that we have in the game. Jalter is, I believe, still the highest attack stat servant we have in the game. A couple of those come close. I think Summer, if I'm not mistaken, it can give Jalter a run for her money in terms of raw attack stats. But yeah, anything in the either the high 12,000s or like even 13,000s, if Lazingo likes you enough, is really, really high attack. So it's nice to see that Marie Alter, being an Avenger, obviously, and being an extra class, you don't really have that many opportunities to deal double class advantage, right? Or true class advantage, rather. So her having 12,000 attack, or 12,700 attack at that, is really, really nice to see. And don't forget, Avengers have the free 1.1x class damage mod. So in reality, their attack is even higher than that. So like Marie Alter could legit, if you multiply that by 1.1, it goes up to actually it goes over 13,000 if you want to include that in. So yeah, obviously Marie Alter is extremely powerful, just in terms of raw attack stat. So again, love to see it. And of course, if you grail her, I'm sure a lot of people will, her attack stat should go even higher. So even crazier. I noticed that her attribute is Earth attribute. Considering this is Marie Antoinette we're talking about, I assume regular Marie is regular man attribute. So I'm sure there's like some lore bullshit going on here. Sort of like how Salter is man attribute, even though regular Saber is Earth attribute. So I guess this is the opposite of that, I suppose. She is chaotic evil. That's noteworthy because that means you can run her with who is Ashiadomon and other evil buffing characters, other evil/chaotic buffing characters. 2-8 QQ, not surprising considering I believe that's what the original Maria was like too. Or she has the exact same deck. Alright, let's take a look at her skills. First skill, charges own MP gauge, 30% battery. And then charges her own MP gauge again for 3 turns, so MP regen. 20% for 3 turns. So this is kind of hilarious because I think in total she can give herself 90% charge by... Well, if it goes through all the way. But if we're talking about just a regular 3-turn farming node, then she should get, like 70% charge by wave 3, as long as you remember to use the skill on turn 1. So yeah, 30, 50, and then 70, yeah, sounds about right. So yeah, you legit can use her with, if you're using her as part of a multi-core team, you can definitely use her with Black Rail, which is hilarious. without the need for much other chargers. I mean, all you would need is just to find like a 30% charge somewhere. I'm sure you could do that very easily, especially on JP. And she gives herself a buff on defense buff for 5 times 3 turns that charges her own AP gauge by 10% when she gets hit. So, battery the skill. So obviously this is going to be a great setup for what is it? Just for, I mean, this skill basically has it all in terms of batteries, right? You got your 30% right there. So, you know, you can easily fit her into with like 50% starting charge CEs and give her second append and you're good to go there. And she's also an arts servant, right? She's got an arts NP. So immediately that tells me that, yeah, because thanks to her 20% regen over time, that means she's giving herself 20% extra charge every single turn after she loops. So like, just with this skill alone, and with the knowledge that she has an arts AoE MP, yeah, deals arts damage to all enemies 4 hit as well. So that's pretty decent. Yeah, she's definitely an arts looper. There's no real way around it. There's no sugarcoating this. She's one hell of an arts looper already. And like this first skill just kind of solidifies that in case she ever had any trouble to begin with. So I feel like she'll be an excellent Black Grail arts looper. We'll see what the verdict is on how good she is at Black Grail looping, if I can pronounce that right. So amazing first skill just in terms of looping. I mean, hey, it's even really good for anything outside of arts looping too. Just thanks to the what is it? The MP regen. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's see here. Second skill. Looks like her second skill is her damage skill. Inflicts curse for 3 turns to all enemies. Her curse right here is pretty insane. Because most of the time, DOT effects and FGO don't do that much damage. On average, I want to say they only do, most DOT effects only do like, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 damage. Maybe sometimes they'll go up to like 2,000 or 3,000, I feel like. To be fair, I don't really pay attention much to DOT effects because most of the time just kind of fluff anyway. Because as we all know, DOT teams and FGO are kind of meh. So... But this kind of stands out to me immediately because 5,000 curse damage a turn, that's pretty serious. That's some serious curse damage right there. Like you could legit run. I feel like you could probably start running curse teams, like pretty serious curse teams. Like it's to the point where like even if your Marie doesn't kill an enemy, like if she's barely off, right? Like her cursing those enemies is enough to finish them off kind of deal. Then again, obviously she can only use this turn or use the skill once, so it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna use this ideally because it has extra damage and extra arts, an extra arts buff tied to it. It's like, you know, you're not really gonna kill this. You kill enemies using the curse while you're looping, obviously, because you're gonna use this on turn 1. So the curse damage ultimately probably won't matter because again, arts looper. But it is noteworthy that she can put this much curse damage on people. Kind of insane, actually. But again, probably won't actually mean much. More importantly, we've got this extra curse damage or extra damage versus curse, the power mod. This is actually no. This should be okay because I think I took a look at her NP earlier. And I believe her NP puts curse on people before it deals damage. Yeah, so I was gonna say that this power mod was gonna be a little bit unfortunate because on its own, without taking her NP into account, on its own, because it inflicts curse on a skill, right? That means you're only if that means in an arts looping context, Marie Alter can only put curse on the first wave of enemies. So like she's kind of wasting her curse right then and there, and therefore her extra curse damage. But later on, as we talk about our MP, it looks like I won't have to worry about that. So, yeah, the power mod against cursed enemies is really good. On top of that, she gives herself an extra 30% arts buff, so that's nice. You got 2 different buff types right there on the same skill, which is pretty amazing. And the 8 to 6 turn CD. And then lastly, her third skill is, I believe, related to her usual skill. All the Maries have this defensive skill where they give themselves 3-hit invul for 3 turns, I believe. This particular version looks like gives party guts for 1 time, 3 turns except for herself, and recovers the party's HP by 1,000 to 3,000. This is okay. It reminds me of like other party evasion or party hard defense skills, like for example Baoband Sith's, where she gives everybody evade and gives herself invul. It kind of reminds me of it. Obviously she gives herself invul, but she doesn't give her teammates invul, but instead she gives them guts. I guess it's okay. At the very least, it's like a party-wide, like party-wide, you know, an enemy NP survival skill. It's just that ideally you'd rather give them an actual evade or like, you know, an actual evade or invul, because if your team gets hit by an enemy MP and all your, you know, Marie Alter's teammates get killed, and they revive using guts, well, they're only going to revive with 3,000 HP, and that's not really a lot of HP at all. At that point, you know, I feel like enemies can just like one-shot your servants who revive with Marie's guts. So it's iffy. It's definitely iffy. I think this skill would be much better if somehow Marie Alter had her own taunt ability, but obviously that'd be a little bit too strong, because that means that Marie is both an arts looper and a taunt tank at the same time. So I'm not sure how feasible that would have been to put into her kit, the taunt that is, but I guess it's better than nothing. But yeah, not as good as it could have been. Not as good as, like, for example, Baoband Sith skill, at least not in my opinion. But I mean, hey, the 3-hit invul is always nice. Anyways, she's got the usual Avenger passives. Nothing much to see there. This is hilarious. She's got her A3 gives her bonus attack against riders, or bonus damage against riders. So we obviously know why that's the case. And then lastly, her NP. Again, AoE 4-hit AoE arts NP. And then yeah, so it looks like she inflicts curse onto enemies first, and even the wiki explicitly says so first. So yeah, that's why her second skill, giving her a power mod versus cursed enemies, is no longer an issue, because not only can she curse enemies using the skill itself, but also her NP curses enemies first anyway, so that power mod will always be relevant. And in addition, in case, you know, the curse wasn't enough, she puts evil curse on them, which doubles their curse damage taken, and then she deals damage, and then she reduces their MP gauge by 1, and has a small chance, well, small, 60% chance, it's small because it's insta-kill in FGO, and has a chance to insta-kill them. I believe because it specifically puts the insta-kill after her damage, we're not going to have a, you know, Nidacris assassin situation where, oh yeah, her looping is ruined by her insta-kill. Because remember, in FGO, if you have an MP that insta-kills enemies first before it does damage, if it does insta-kill enemies, you don't get any. That servant doesn't get any charge, which is the fundamental problem with, again, Nidacris alt. Nidacris alt. She's a separate servant. The fundamental problem with Nidacris assassin, Summer Nidacris, because she unfortunately insta-kills first before dealing damage. So her potential as an arts looper is pretty much ruined right out the gate. So thankfully they didn't make that mistake with Marie Alter. Kind of wish they would go back and fix that for Nidacris Assassin, but, you know, it's La Zang we're talking about. Can't expect too much out of them now, can we? And just for good measure, her overcharge increases her MP damage by 20% for 1 turn, which is nice. Ideally, I would have preferred seeing this as whatchamacallit, as an attack buff, but it's not that bad, because attack buffs are pretty easy to get to come by. At the very least, this does mean that I don't know what that was. At the very least, this being an MP damage buff means that she has better synergy with Oberon in case you know, Black Grail wasn't enough. So yeah, I'm sure you can have some absolute shenanigans with Oberon thanks to this. I mean, in case her being compatible with Black Grail wasn't already enough, so. But yeah, her overcharge being a free 1 turn MP damage buff is pretty hilarious. Other than that, I believe that's it. I don't know if we do know what her max spawn C does. Oh, okay. Last time I looked at this, it wasn't filled in yet, so looks like we now know what it does. So her max spawn CE increases the party's MP damage by 10%, and then increases party's damage against cursed enemies by 15% while she has this equipped and is on the field. This spawn C is actually pretty good. It's just a shame that it's on Murray Alter, who is not a support servant at all. Then again, because of how potent her damage output seems to be, I could see a situation where, like, in like a multi-core team, you give Murray Alter her own max bond C, so that way she can support her teammates while they clear wave 1 and 2, and then she can maybe clear wave 3 on her own. Maybe? Or maybe she can go, maybe she can be a wave 2 clear. I think that's more reasonable. She can be a wave 2 clear, and then her with her own max bond C can support your DPS for a wave 3 clear. Maybe that could be the case. But then again, if that's the case, since you're not looping with Murray Alter, that means that you're not putting curse on every single wave. So that would mean that you would have to save your Murray's second skill for wave 3. So I don't know. That doesn't really work out either. It becomes pretty awkward pretty quick. So I suppose you could maybe bring this again if you're okay with making Murray wave 1 clear, but again, that means you have to give her 70% charge, 50% charge if you give her max A2, which I suppose isn't that bad, but yeah. Still kind of awkward. You're probably not going to use max bond C anyway, because again, support support bond C on a DPS servant or a looping servant, so that never really works out. But overall, my thoughts on Murray Alter, other than the obvious being that, you know, she's very clearly designed to be an arts looper, and a very powerful one too, because of how insanely high her attack stat is. I don't know, man. She looks sick. Obviously, you know, Booba Third Ascension. We've known about this one ever since Fate Requiem, obviously. But yeah, I like her art. I mean, I love the black and red color scheme. It's one of my favorite color schemes in, you know, media in general. So Murray Alter having that exact sort of color scheme is super sick to me. Her first Ascension is actually pretty cute too. I mean, obviously this is meant to be reminiscent of regular Murray, right? Murray Rider and Murray Caster. So nice callback to the OG Murray. But of course, I'm more partial to the huge titty, big booba, mommy Murray myself. So assuming I get her in JP in 2 years, or assuming I get her on NA in 2 years. Sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna start a JP account, guys. Might as well at this rate, right? But anyways, yeah, once she shows up in NA in 2 years, assuming people are still playing it after the entire NA player base has quit, now that we're in our content drought arc, yeah, I'll make sure to pick her up. She seems pretty cool. Other than that, that's about it for Murray Alter. Let's take a look at Hassan now. I believe his name is like Hassan of something, the Shining Star. There we go. So this one's for the ladies, obviously. He sure ain't shy about showing off the goods, I think. Anyways, he's a 4-star. I believe Murray Alter obviously is limited, but Hassan of the Shining Star, this dude is permanent, I believe. He'll enter permanent gacha as a perma 4-star. So that's nice, I guess. In any case, he's got 9,000 attack, 11,000 HP, obviously pretty low attack. Actually, for a 4-star, that's actually kind of average. That's like, I think that should be in the middle. But again, he's an assassin, so, you know, the shitty 0.9x class damage modifier for no reason. So his attack is actually going to be a little bit lower than what it says here. But again, assassins aren't meant to be DPSs as a class, unless your name is Kama, obviously. Kama or King Hassan or somebody like that, so. But in any case, he's lawful evil as expected. I believe most Hassans are lawful evil. I know King Hassan is. I assume a lot of the other Hassans are as well. But yeah, let's take a look at his skills now. Regular, a standard quick deck, because he's an assassin. No surprises there. First skill increases quicken arts performance by 30% each. Increases his own attack by 20% on darkness battlefield. So he's got an environmental trigger. We'll see if he's got we'll see if he can trigger his own environment or not. So your standard color buff skill there. Evasion skill, good to see. I mean, he is a Hassan after all. Evasion for 2 attacks, 3 turns. Grants self a buff on attack buff for 3 turns, which increases his own crit damage by 10% for 3 turns when attacking with quick cards. Okay, and increases his own crit star gen for 3 turns. Pretty standard skill, especially on a Hassan. And then lastly, lastly for his third skill, he's got a crit damage buff, 50%. Grants self buff on attack buff for 3 turns, which charges his own MP gauge, but when attacking with quick cards, this is pretty useful. And increases his own MP generation rate for 3 turns. This tells me that, let's see, his MP charge on attack is 0.27. Understandable because his quick cards have 6 hits on them. So he should be an excellent standard crit star gen, or standard star gen, like manual star gen, I should say, for what that's worth, you know, in 2024. But I do like this skill anyway, because theoretically it feels like he should be able to charge his MP really, really fast. Like I think this gives me the feeling that even though he's a quick servant, he should have at least the potential to charge his MP almost as quickly as if he were an arts servant instead. We'll see how fast he actually is able to generate his own MP though, in practice. But that's what this kind of gives off to me, right? The extra the free 10% charge when he's attacking with quick cards, and you know, the extra MP gen buff as well. So we'll see how quickly he can charge his MP, especially with crits if he does crit. Okay. Standard presence concealment. I believe that's the second best, because yeah, we have presence concealment goes all the way up to 8+. I think I don't know if we have an EX presence concealment skill yet. I think the highest one I've seen that I remember seeing is 8+, but we might have an EX out there somewhere. Huh? He has Oblivion Correction B. So normally Oblivion Correction is an Avenger only skill, because I believe Marie Alter has that skill, has that passive, because she's just by merit of her being an assassin, or sorry, not an assassin, an Avenger. Yeah, all Avengers have these 3 passives: Avenger passive, Oblivion Correction, and then self-replenishment. Normally, Oblivion Correction is reserved for Avengers, but for whatever reason, who is it? For whatever reason, let me go back to Hassan's entry here. Yeah, for whatever reason, Hassan of the Shining Star has this too. So I'm assuming there's some sort of lore here that explains why he has an Avenger passive when he's not an Avenger himself. Yeah, he's an assassin. But I'm sure we'll have that explained to us in due time. His third weapon is against other assassins. Kind of funny. Maybe there's some extra lore there too. Maybe he knows how to fight his other fellow Hassans pretty well. And then lastly, he's got I believe this should be, oh, he's an AoE. He's an AoE assassin. Huh, that's actually pretty interesting. I was expecting him to be a single target, because most Hassans, all Hassans actually are single target, aren't they? Because yeah, Cursed Arm is single target. Serenity is single target. 100 Face is single target. And then lastly, King Hassan is single target. Unless I'm forgetting another Hassan servant that we have in the game, other than those 3 or 4 that I just mentioned. This should be our first AoE Hassan. So that's very interesting, actually. Okay. Alright. Let's take a look at what his NP actually does, though. So AoE Arts NP. It's a 6-hit Arts NP. If he has an Arts NP, it's 6-hit. but his MP charge on attack is only 0.27? Huh. That's a little bit concerning. I'm actually kind of curious to know how good of an arts looper he is. Because, like, it feels like he could be, but it feels like he needs a lot of, like, babysitting. Or, like, he needs a lot of buffs from teammates to make it work. Because, like, he does have an arts buff, thanks to his first skill. And his third skill should give him an MP generation rate buff. I don't think this is tied. The MP gen buff he has is tied to the buff on attack buff. I believe that's just for the extra MP gauge that he gains. But when using quick cards. All right. Let's see. He increases his own MP damage by 20% for 3 turns. This is excellent. Because if he can loop, because it's for 3 turns, that means he has a ramping MP damage buff. So if he can arts loop, that means he's going to have a 60% MP damage buff by wave 3. Which is pretty insane. And this is all on a 4-star. Huh. Alright. This is very unexpected. Like, you could argue for, like, somebody like Murray Alta, right? Because she's the 5-star servant with this event on JP. Like, yeah, that's kind of to be expected, the fact that Lazangle turned her into an arts looper, but man, if Shining Star Hassan ends up being an arts looper too, that's pretty sick. And he's a permanent character, I believe, right? Permanent 4-star. And on top of that, he deals super effective damage against man attribute enemies. That's fantastic. He deals 1,000 damage to himself, but you know, whatever. Oh, and you know, just for good measure, here's another 20% quicken arts buff for 1 turn too, for free as his overcharge. So what does that mean? I believe his first skill gives him 30, right? So he's basically giving himself an arts mana burst. If he's an arts looper, he's giving himself an arts mana burst every turn for 3 waves. He's got a lot of potential. At least as an arts looper, that is. Yeah, this is pretty sick. Let me take a look at his max bond CE first. Black Blades when equipped on Shining Star Hassan increases party's crit damage by 15%. Party's damage against enemies with human attribute. Okay, that's kind of whack. Because I believe human only applies to living humans, unless I'm mistaken. And if that's the case, if it's what I think it is, then yeah, it's hardly ever useful. Maybe against like certain story fights, but that's about it. Anyways, I don't know if you'll ever be using his max Bonsi, especially if he turns out to be an actually decent arts looper. But yeah, the only problems that I see here, one of them is more serious than the other. Let's talk about the more serious one. Yeah, he doesn't have a way to force the Darkness Battlefield environmental condition, I don't think. At least I didn't see anything like that. So it does suck that he's going to be missing out on the 20% attack buff. But at the same time, maybe it's not that big of a deal anyway, because if he is indeed an arts looper, then I mean, hey, what do you know? You have Castoria, who is going to give him a 20% attack buff anyway, times 2, because you're going to be running double Castoria, right? And not only that, but you know, I actually don't know if JP's still using the Plug Suit 2, the one that NA recently got at the start of the year after we beat Koyan Darksass in Tunguska. But yeah, you have double Castoria as a baseline anyway, so Shining Star Hassan missing out on this 20% off his first skill is not too bad, but again, it still kind of feels bad whenever I see Lazangle give a servant like an environmental condition that they can't trigger themselves. But I suppose there had to be a caveat there somewhere, because this is still a 4-star servant we're talking about. No 5-star privilege for you. And so on and so forth. The other issue, it's a more minor one, obviously. Or not obviously, let me explain. But it is still an issue that I want to bring up, but it's just a minor one. He does have a crit damage buff, right? And both his second skill and his third skill have some sort of crit damage buff, right? His third skill just gives him a straight up 50% crit damage buff. His second skill is a little bit more roundabout, where he gets more crit damage. the more he attacks with his quick cards. It's just that he doesn't have his own star weight buff. And remember that assassins don't have very high star weight. I think they're about average. Yeah, at 100. I think they're average. Yeah. But the reason why I say this is not as big an issue as, say, him missing out on his 20% attack buff on certain battlefields is that because he's an assassin, like, he should be generating a shit ton of stars anyway. Now, to be fair, he does have an arts NP. And remember, in FGO, arts cards by default do not generate stars. The few times that they do is thanks to, like, different servants' base star gen, right? Because Hassan is obviously an assassin, as they all are, I believe. And assassins have the highest base star gen rates in the game because they're intended to make stars as a class. Yeah. Shining Star Hassan should be able to still generate quite a few stars just off his arts MP because, again, thanks to his very high base star gen. Because you take this 25 plus 10 thanks to his passive, and plus what is this, second skill should give him more star gen, right? Yeah, honestly, because it's for 3 turns, you just pop his second skill right away and hit every turn. Shining Star Hassan should generate a ton of stars. Yeah. So this is, anyways, yeah, that's not really an issue. That's why him not having a star weight buff isn't really a big issue, as long as he's hitting like at least 2 or 3 enemies, right? He should be generating a shit ton of stars. So it's like him not having a star bomb skill or not having a dedicated star weight buff, not that big of an issue, because again, he should be generating a whole shit ton of stars anyway. So yeah, overall, he's honestly, I'm a lot more interested in, like, I'm a lot more intrigued by Shining Star Hassan's kit, because like he should have the potential. Again, we'll see what JP players come up with him, but he should have the potential to arts loop, even though he's a quick servant. Or he's meant to be a quick servant, because again, the triple quick deck. He has an AOE NP arts buff, and he's got 50% arts buff and 50% quick buff if you want to throw that in too. A 20% NP damage buff that ramps up. So by the time he gets to wave 3, he should have a 60% NP damage buff. And better yet, if you're up against man attribute enemies, he does super effective damage against them too. Like, he has potential, man. He's got a lot of potential. I just pray that he's able to arts loop, because that means that now we have a permanent 4-star arts looping assassin, and that's super cool to me, because I don't know if we have someone like that already in the game. An arts looping 4-star assassin. Maybe we might have one who's limited. I just don't know who that would be right off the top of my head. But just looking at Shining Star Hassan in a vacuum right now, yeah, dude, he's pretty sick, man. He's pretty freaking sick. I'm not gonna lie. So I have high hopes for this dude for sure. Definitely high hopes. So, yeah, I see a lot of potential in him for sure. Three-turn arts looper, multi-core support, because again, he can take care of, if you're up against like riders, for example, he can take care of like wave 1 or 2, and then create stars. He can be a very potent wave 2 clear, so that way he can generate stars going to wave 3, thanks to his really high star gen. So, in case you're having trouble with in case your DPS, your wave 3 DPS is having trouble clearing wave 3, you can have Shining Star Hassan come in with wave 2, beat up everybody, make a lot of stars, and so that way going to wave 3, your entire hand for that turn, for that wave, is fully loaded with crit stars or something like that. So, but yeah, hopefully this dude turns out to be really good. I have high hopes. Don't do me dirty now, Losangle. Anyways, video's been going on for like 30 or so minutes now. So let me wrap up this video with some thoughts from the preview stream that we had earlier yesterday, at the time of this video recording anyway. So if I recall correctly, the event that JP just got with Murray Alter, obviously, and Shining Star Hassan, was like this, school, like I guess it's a fake school life, high school life scenario that Guraka or Gurao finds himself in, and they gave a schoolgirl skin to Jalter. Maybe they'll give one to John as well. I forget if they gave one to John too, but Jalter for sure. I believe that much that much I know. And then not only that, but they revamped. Who is it? They finally gave animation updates to Jalter and John. Thank God. It's been a long time coming, that's for sure. And who else? Or what else, I should say. People were talking about like an alternate Dondo, an alternate Edmond Dantes, because I believe he was teased in like the event CM, right? Maybe this event will get a week 2 banner. I should have probably considered that before making this video, but I don't know for right now. Maybe you guys can in the comments can tell me if if we should look forward to a week 2 banner for the event, because I feel like there's a pretty high chance for that, considering how many like different servants they teased during that commercial message trailer. Like the alternate Dondo, I believe there was the dude with like the red eyes who showed up who had some big ass muscles or some shit, or I don't know where I saw that. Maybe on Discord, I don't know. But whatever the case, I feel like Lozingo might be back. Because for the longest time, Lozingo has had, like it shouldn't be a secret that Lozingo has had staff shortage issues, right? And because of that, they've been forced into this like 3-week content cycle where like all of our events are like 3 weeks long now, and like they haven't done any reruns at all for like a year straight or so, probably even longer than a year, and so on and so forth. And FGO has become very, very dry for a lot of players because we're not getting as much content as we used to, as we did back in the past, right? Before, back when Lozingo was still part of the Lightworks, but now they've given us animation updates, which they haven't done for God knows how long. They were asking JP players, I believe, earlier this year about, oh yeah, if you wanted to have a rerun for a particular event, which event do you guys want us to rerun for you guys, and stuff like that. Like I feel like the effort that they put into this event is indicative of Lozingo. Like maybe there's a chance that they finally like resolved some of their staff shortage issues, because like how else would they have found found a way to like shove in all that content into just this one event? Then again, considering Jalter and John, for that matter, are like supposed to be like the main stars of this event, like I can easily see this situation being one of like, oh yeah, they went all out just because it's Jalter, right? Just because it's Jalter and everybody loves Jalter, or at least a lot of people do. Yeah, they decided to put in that much effort into this event. Maybe I'm just kind of overhyping this. Maybe Lozingo hasn't resolved their staff shortage issues at all, and that this is just a one-off instance of them like going all out on an event or whatever, right? Just because it has Jalter in it, right? But I hope that this event is a sign of things to come, right? Or like a turning point in Lozingo where they can finally start putting in, at least a similar amount of effort and content into the game as they used to back when they were still known as Delightworks, or at least back when they were still part of Delightworks a couple of years back. So yeah, we might be back basically with this event on JP. So I'm glad for the JP bros. Hopefully this event is a banger. It's looking like it's gonna be. From all the stuff I've seen on Twitter. So yeah, we got something for everybody with this patch. Murray Alter for the waifu enjoyers. I'm sure Kitashan fucking screamed on stream, because I think I saw him restreaming the JP stream. And I know he's a big Murray fanboy. And then yeah, for all the ladies out there who enjoy twinks, well, you got this dude. I mean, just look at him. Actually, just look at them here. So yeah, you got something for everybody basically. So I hope JP players are eating good with this event. And for those guys who are JP players or have a JP account, hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah, that'll be it for me for this video. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Next time being if we get a week 2 banner for this event, but again, we'll see. Maybe we'll get one. Maybe we won't. Find out next week, I guess. But yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.